Hello and a warm welcome to the special program Capital Beat on the Federal on a day when three northeastern states, Tripura, Meghalaya, and Nagaland, are counting the votes. According to the latest picture we have, it's a BJP-led alliance which is all set to form the government in Tripura and Nagaland. But as far as Meghalaya is concerned, it's heading towards a hung assembly. Now, let me just give you a little breakup of what we have. According to the figures we have so far, Tripura BJP is slightly above the majority marks, about 31. Congress plus left is down to half the number of BJP. Tripura Motha is about 10 seats. Then if you talk about Meghalaya, as I told you, it's a hung house. NPP is nowhere near the majority mark. Congress and TMC are about leading in 5 seats, and BJP is ahead only in 3. So looking at the general picture of these three northeastern states, it's clear that BJP is forming the government in Tripura and Nagaland. But Meghalaya, the things still look quite nebulous. But what are going to be the larger trends which are going to emerge out of these three state election results? And what is going to be the impact on the 2024 elections? I'm joined by a very special panel. I have all veteran journalists with me today. Patricia Mukim joins me from Shillong. Thank you so much, Patricia. Monadeepa Banerjee, a well-known face of Kolkata and quite a veteran on the northeastern politics as well. Thank you, Monadeepa. We have Sushant Talukdar, who was with Hindu. Thank you so much. And Samir Purkaistha from the Federal. Let me begin with Patricia. Patricia, it seems that Meghalaya is going down the wire. Now, what does the present picture look like, and is it for sure that we are heading towards a hung assembly now?
It is going to be a hung assembly because almost all the results are out, barring a few, and the NPP is not going to get an absolute majority. And this is the trend with Meghalaya. We have never voted an absolute majority, barring once in 1972. So. And then you have too many candidates vying for, a constituency with just 25,000 votes and so on. So this was expected, and I had foretold this because you sort of get the hang of the elections very soon as people launch into their campaigns. What we didn't expect was the NPP to do well because there were a string of allegations of corruption against them. There were scams and scams. But they still managed to come out with 25, which is creditable. And then you have their partner, their coalition partner, before they launched into the campaign. The coalition partners were the BJP, the NPP, and the United Democratic Party, which is actually a very old regional party. So they have about 11. So I suspect that the NPP, UDP, BJP will tie up again with other smaller parties to form the government. Because just 2 days ago, Conrad Sangma had met Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma. I'm sure that they must have had some kind of conversation about post-poll alliance.
Patricia, you are saying that you did have an inkling that there'll be a fractured mandate in Meghalaya. Now, why do you think, what is the reason for this kind of a mandate which the people have given? Do they not have faith in one particular party, as you are saying?
No. We don't vote parties. This is something that the national media has to understand. People don't vote parties here. They don't care about ideology. They vote personalities, and it's a very personal relationship between the people and the MLA. Anyone who can service them, who can be there when they have a bereavement, when there is a wedding, any kind of social function, somebody who's there with them, that's who they vote for. But it's also a fact that in this election, there was a lot of money that was spent by different political parties, particularly the NPP, the UDP, who were in the government, and a lot of this money, of course, is public money because nobody will pull out money from their coffers. So money played a role. The election commissioner said that 51 crore rupees was the amount that was seized. In terms of, the quantum seized was that. It included drugs, it included liquor, and we don't know how much had already been spent before that.
Right. So to say that, supposing if of course it's going to be a hung house, but somehow if BJP can pull off a government here, we do not know as of now. But supposing if BJP is able to pull off and form the government, do we say that there was any Modi magic which was seen in Meghalaya?
No, there's no magic of any kind. It's just that the BJP is ruling in Delhi, and all the parties here in the tribal states of the Northeast rely heavily on central funding. So it's because of that, we don't really have a federal system in place where the center, whichever government is at the center, is bound to, devolve its funds to the states. It's not like that. Here we are. It's a patronage democracy. We are. It's a patron-client relationship between the state governments and the government at the center.
Right. But do you think that the politics of beneficiaries, which BJP has been unfolding for the last so many years, has that really worked in Meghalaya?
It hasn't worked because they set up candidates in 60 seats, mind you. The BJP and the Congress were the only two parties that set up candidates in 60 seats. But say they got only three candidates. In fact, all the bigwigs from Delhi had come and parked themselves here, and they were looking at two-digit figures. I told them that's being very ambitious, knowing how people vote over here and how wary they are of Hindutva politics, of the CAA, of the Uniform Civil Code, and this anti-minority stance of the BJP. It's still a fear factor. Yeah.
Let me come to you, Monadeepa, now. And if I talk about the larger picture, which is emerging from Tripura and Nagaland, where BJP is all set to form the government, what would you say? Because, say, for example, Tripura, we saw a triangular fight because of Tripura Motha. And in Nagaland, it is almost like the regional party is emerging as a single largest party. So if you look at the larger picture, what does it really indicate?
Well, in Nagaland, the picture seems very interesting simply because there doesn't seem to be any opposition party. I mean, I don't know who the opposition is going to be because they've all been friends. The BJP, the NDPP, as well as NPF.
NPF.
So that's taken care of. Sorry, yeah, that's taken care of. NPF. They're all sort of together. It's an opposition mukt state. The first, probably, of its kind in India.
And this is for the second term.
For the
second term, yeah.
And then there is Tripura. Tripura, of course, has been a fascinating day today, watching Tripura with the BJP, predicted to, sweep it with about 40, 45 seats. But that didn't happen. At one point, the BJP's numbers went down to 25 trends. And then we had, the left in Congress rising up to 18, the Motha going up to 13, 14. So it was all very exciting, but in a way, perhaps predictably, the BJP has managed to wrest the majority and the initiative and will form the government without difficulty. I mean, I also heard the Motha chief, Pradyut Devarma, he almost sounded as if he was waiting in an interview that I just heard on some television channel. He sounded like he was waiting for an invite by the BJP to join the government. I don't know if that's what will happen. So that's fascinating. But for me, sitting here in Kolkata, very, very interesting is, shall I call it, the plight of the Trinamool Congress. In Tripura, it has made virtually no impact at all. But in Meghalaya, it has marginal impact. I don't know how Patricia would describe it. 5 seats at the moment. Yeah. And I believe Mamata Banerjee has already said that she has got 15% of the vote. Of course, we'll have to confirm that. And she is very happy. In a press conference a short while ago, she said that I'm very happy. It'll help me with my national status. But 5 seats, given the fact that, over a dozen Congress MLAs left the Congress, joined the Trinamool Congress. and they end up with 5, which is the same as the Congress, a little more than the BJP. I don't know what this means for the Trinamool Congress. What was it trying to prove? I'm not very clear about that. So that is one thing that we'll have to watch, because remember, Trinamool rushed off to Goa, then rushed into Tripura, and now Meghalaya. And sure, 5 seats in Meghalaya, but I'm not sure they're going to be very excited about it. So we are watching Trinamool here in Bengal and its plans for 2024. And I don't know where they are going at this moment.
Patricia, you were raising your hand. You wanted to make a point?
See, the TMC here in Meghalaya was riding on the Congress because Dr. Mukul Sangma is one of the best known faces in Garo Hills. He's been chief minister, and they were virtually riding on him. They didn't have a toehold even. So to expect them to, I mean, to make it sound as if they've, sort of achieved something is a bit exaggerated.
Right. Let me now go to Sushanta, and I'm really curious to know, Sushanta, as to what really went wrong with the Congress and the left alliance in Tripura. A lot of it was being talked about that, they are a big challenge this time to the BJP. But what went wrong, which didn't work in favor of Congress and left? I mean, despite the fact that, left was a bastion, Tripura was a bastion for the left. They were hoping that they will do well. In fact, I was talking to Mr. Sitaram Yachuri just about 2-3 weeks back. He was quite hopeful of doing well. But what went wrong, really?
2 things. One is they failed to arrive at some kind of understanding with the Tripura Motha. Okay. Tripura Motha had already emerged as a force, not just among the tribals, but also among the non-tribals. And so it was the left and the Congress which failed to enter into some kind of understanding, even though if not a formal, but there could have been a tacit understanding. Then the numbers would have been different, because when I look at the numbers, figures individually in the different constituencies, is the number the difference? If you add the left Congress votes with the Tripura Motha, then the BJP is nowhere in many constituencies. So number would have, the BJP would have been checked at somewhere around 2021, and then the picture would have emerged. We would have different picture. And also there was the left. Look at the BJP. Once they have jumped into an election, then they are ideologically pushing their stand very in a very aggressive manner. Like when we heard Himanta Biswa Sharma saying that no, Tripura BJP, we will not support, will not allow Tripura to be divided. We will rather sit in opposition. But then when it came to left and the Congress, they could not clarify their stand exactly whether they are actually will be conceding to Tripura land. Although they said that they are in for more power to autonomy to the Tripuris, but that they have always been saying, so it doesn't attract the Tripuri population, indigenous Tripuri population anymore. And simultaneously, so it didn't work. So when BJP said that we are not going to let the Tripura to be bifurcated, then the non-tribal voters we could found the BJP to be a more reliable the party than the CPIM and the Congress. And otherwise, if we look at the vote pattern, then if the Congress and the left could have reached in some kind of understanding with they could have given some concession. That's where the Congress has to understand. Because overall in all the 3 states, it's a consolidation of the regional parties. I agree with Patricia completely that it is Meghalaya, it is primarily a vote for individuals. But when the results come out, it appears to be the consolidation of the regional forces in all the 3 states. Right. Even in Nagaland, you say we have seen. So right. BJP has retained its number only. And Tripura, yeah.
Well, when you talk about regional parties, what about parties like IPFT, which have almost like they've been routed? What about the tribal shift, the tribal voters shift? You remember huge BJP outreach programs, for the tribals. All that seems to have shifted in favor of Tripura Motha. And so what would you really say? I mean, is the tribal outreach program of BJP really not working in Tripura?
No, see, in Northeast, BJP has to rely on a party that is championing the cause of the regional causes. Otherwise, as a centrist party, he cannot champion the cause of the regional the causes the regional parties raise. So it is relying on this. See, in Assam, they cannot afford to leave Assam Gana Parishad, even though its numbers are more. Similarly, it cannot leave NPP in Meghalaya or NDPP in Nagaland, or so in Tripura they could sense this, but it was too late. So they just say they just gave only 5 seats to IPF. IPF already, once they aligned with the party and the party came with the promise of the Tripura land, they also talked about the statehood, but then finally they didn't deliver on that promise. So now BJP will be, it is more than the Tripura Matha. It's BJP which will want the Tripura Matha to join its government. So that again the Tripura land demand is weakened and the BJP gets a space. Otherwise, when the regional parties have consolidated their position, the BJP will find it difficult to bargain for the more number of Lok Sabha seats in 2024.
Right. Okay, Samir, so looking at the picture which is emerging from these 3 states, what would you really say, that which way is the wind blowing, or is it really premature to judge 2024 on the basis of these 3 results? I mean, the results which have come out from these 3 northeastern states.
No, the results clearly showing that the BJP's domination in the northeast and the Congress's stagnation. That's that's the takeaway from these results. And if you if you have seen the campaigning, the way the aggressive campaign the BJP did, we didn't see that kind of aggression in in Congress, and even the CPIM in Tripura. It lacked that kind of aggressive campaign. And at last moment, it changed some leadership. Manik Sarkar was seated because of age bar which they introduced. But this kind of small things, they should have settled it earlier, like the BJP did. BJP just 1 year ahead of election, they changed the chief minister.
Right.
And after that, the damage control exercise, they started right away. Prime Minister Modi visited Tripura twice, in December, January, even before the campaign schedule was announced. And then during the campaigning phase, he addressed 3 rallies. Amit Shah addressed 4 rallies. Then some very game changer steps were taken, like DA, 12% DA hike given to the state employees. And in this kind of small states where the state government is the main, source of employment, this upward revision of salaries really impact. So these are some of the, some of the things they did right. That's why the BJP is reaping the benefit.
Okay. Yes, Sushanta, you were wanting to make a point.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just want to add one point. Like the BJP, no doubt, it campaigned aggressively, but then the number in Meghalaya, it shows that BJP hasn't gained anything. Its vote share came down. Just at the most, it is going to win 3 seats from 2 to 1, and its vote percentage has come down. And in Nagaland, its number has remained unchanged. It's Tripura, its vote share has gone down, number has come down. So that the campaign that the Modi and Amit Shah that they had put up, I mean, we cannot say that it's doing the magic everywhere at the same rate. Yeah, no doubt.
So in Tripura, particularly, in Tripura, they had almost lost the case. It was almost a lost case for the BJP 1 year ago, and they had to, change Biplab Dev, who was bogged, and he was bogged under so many corruption charges and allegations of corruption and whatnot.
No, I agree. I agree that. And also left had the problem of the no face, clear face. I agree with Shami that although Jiten Chaudhary was a face for the left, since it overlapped with the face of Tripura Mathasif, no, so but then Manik Sarkar deciding not to contest, or the party deciding not to contest, that was, I think, probably tactically a wrong decision. Otherwise, Manik Sarkar could have hold some more votes towards the alliance.
Right.
No,
Yeah,
can I
Patricia.
just say what? So
Yeah.
as far as Tripura is concerned, I also feel that had Pradyut contested, things might have been a bit different. Probably the group felt a little left out without him in the lead, because he was telling people publicly that once these elections are over, he'll be out. So
Right.
then who leads? You know, there's no leader as such in the Motha. That's point number one. And point number two is about the ambivalence of the BJP vis-a-vis Meghalaya. Before elections, they parted ways. BJP and NPP parted ways, and they were lashing out at each other. Mr. Amit Shah came and said that Meghalaya is one of the most corrupt states in the country, and if we are voted to power, we will cleanse the system. Now, how do you cleanse the system now?
Right.
Exactly. If I may
Okay.
ask, Patricia, there's also the fact that, not only did the BJP attack NPP as the most corrupt, it also attacked it for its dynastic rule and so
Right.
on. So are we assuming that BJP will be part of this government, or
It will, Moni,
It will.
because it's inevitable. You know, I think there's a tacit understanding between these people that we will say whatever we want before elections, and come the results.
Patricia, this whole decision about BJP and NPP going different ways. So can we say that it was a wrong decision on the part of the two parties to go solo? I mean,
No.
so-
See, the thing is, all the coalition partners in the MDA government led by the NPP, all of them went their own ways, and they all wanted to, to sort of throw the burden of anti-incumbency to NPP. All of them went alone to tell the whole world that, look, we are very clean. It was the NPP that was at fault. That was the idea. Even the BJP, they didn't want to carry the sins of the MDA. Yeah.
right. I'll come to you, Sameer, later, but I want to come to Monideepa first. And that's also another important aspect on which I wanted to really ask her. The question on Congress, that we've been saying that it's a stagnation of Congress. I mean, yes, BJP will form the government, come what may. There is a consolidation as far as the regional parties are concerned. But if we say that Congress has got stagnated, Monideepa, then are we in a position to say that the strategies of Congress have really not worked? Congress made a hue and cry about the Bharat Jodo success. There was so much of noise, Rahul Gandhi's image enhancement. But people did question the party that why is the Bharat Jodo Yatra not going through the states where you have elections? Is it time now to discuss this bit, that if Rahul Gandhi had come about with this yatra, probably in these states, the story could have been different for Congress?
Well, the big question to ask is really, what was Congress's strategy in the Northeast? Was there a strategy?
Okay.
First of all, you had this, highly hyped Bharat Jodo Yatra, which went from south to north, and great. On the day of the exit polls, or perhaps the day before, they suddenly announced that Rahul Gandhi may be considering east-west Bharat Jodo Yatra as well. Why? Why so late in the day? I mean, even his, the fact that he was almost missing in action in Gujarat was really inexplicable. And then again now in the east. The other thing that happened is in Meghalaya, that also completely showed a complete lack of strategy. And that was Rahul Gandhi went there. He didn't go to Tripura or Nagaland. He went to Meghalaya, and there, instead of attacking the BJP, which is the primary concern for the Congress, or the ruling, the former ruling party, he spent a lot of his time attacking the Trinamool Congress. I mean,
Right.
Why on earth? I mean, so again, that sort of leads to the question, what was Congress's strategy for the Northeast, and was there a strategy at all? And I think the answer to the last question is no, because even today, I heard Mr. Kharge of Congress saying, he was kind of dismissive of the Northeast.
All our states.
Yeah, I mean, Northeast, the three small states, they don't matter.
Right. In
Right,
fact,
that's
Monadeepa, I wanted to ask you that is Congress really paying the price for their attitude towards the northeastern states? Because a lot of people here on social media are writing that, Congress never gave importance to the northeastern states. But Modi government since 2014, and all those figures are also out on social media, that he spent about 3.45 lakh crore and they have invested in roads and infrastructure. So has that really worked? I mean, maybe they are piggy riding on the backs of the regional parties. But I think somewhere all this is translating into votes for them.
Well,
Yeah,
I
the
think we'll have
fact.
to go back
Can I just say
Yes.
one
Yeah,
Sure,
fact?
definitely. Take your point. Yeah.
See, the fact that Amit Shah, as Home Minister, spent the night in Garo Hills, that's a big thing, It's a big claim for them because no Home Minister has ever done it. No Prime Minister has ever stayed the night. Then Modi's constant visits. Then the visits of the ministers. Every month or every fortnight, one minister or the other is visiting to monitor the schemes. This has never happened in the past. So willy-nilly, the BJP is trying to get a foothold, and it's doing that very strategically.
Right.
No,
So,
no, I mean,
Monadeepa, which means that it's like the omnipresence of BJP, and then they have an overarching structure like the NIDA, which is being headed by Himanta Biswa Sarma, and a complete absence of Congress. That has really not worked for Congress.
see, one thing is when Congress was there in government at the center and had a whole lot of chief ministers who were of the Congress too, at that time they seemed to have a strategy. There was some back and forth between the center and the state. But now Congress has no presence. In fact, I think 5 Congress chief ministers are now 5 BJP chief ministers in the Northeast, including Mr. Himanta Biswa Sarma. So, given that, what it demonstrates basically is that one is that the Northeast has to be close to the power at the center, and since the Congress is not there, somehow Congress is rudderless. And despite the fact that the Northeast does, present an opportunity of 25 seats in Parliament altogether, despite that, somehow Congress is not apparently taking it seriously. There are efforts, but I don't know, the results don't demonstrate that their efforts really paid any dividends whatsoever. So yeah, I think that East-West Bharat Jodo Yatra is now becoming imperative for the Congress.
Yeah. Shanta, I was coming to you only, but do we need to discuss at this point of time also the coalition strategy of Congress? Because you remember when Mallikarjun Kharge came to Nagaland, he made that big pronouncement saying that 2024 will be an alliance government which is going to be headed by Congress. But here the coalition between the left and the Congress, say for example in Tripura, hasn't worked too well. So does it really need to revisit its coalition strategy, with whom to partner, how to partner, who will be the big leaders? How does Congress really plan for Northeast then? Or do they really have a plan? As Monadeepa said, that they don't look like a party.
Actually, I agree with Monadeepa that they do not have any strategy for Northeastism.
Okay.
And Patricia Madam has been writing on this issue for a long time. Particularly the regional leaders of Northeast in Congress. I mean, they are always overshadowed by the AICC leaders in charge visiting Northeast, overriding their decision and all. So that is not where they are going to write. And also, you're right. They have to look at the coalition. Congress always believes, even when it has lost all the seats, that it has nothing to do with the regional parties or coalition with the other parties. It's not ready to consider space for the regional parties when it comes to seat sharing and all. Every time when it goes into seat sharing or any talks with seat sharing, it believes that it is already in a position of formation of the government. So it tries to minimize as little as seats to be. So the Congress has to re-articulate its policy towards the regional political parties of the Northeast if it wants to have more numbers in the region. See, that is what BJP is doing.
Right.
I mean, BJP is running the government in coalition with the regional parties in all the states. But the Congress always wanted it to be singly ruling the region.
Absolutely.
But this
Samir,
have been
But Samir, the vacuum which has been left after Himanta Biswa Sarma quit Congress, that vacuum still is felt by Congress, and probably that is the reason they are so dismissive about Northeast. Is that what you feel is a reason, or could be a reason?
No, that is obviously one reason, and but overall, as Susanto pointed out, the Congress's strategy, the Congress need to play smart. Like say, for instance, in Nagaland, all the political parties' leadership comes from Tenime bloc, that is Angami, Chakazang, and Jeliang. Now, Nifirio is an Angami. Congress state president is Tere, is an Angami. Then the NPF leader is leader Ajo is from Chakasang area. So here the Congress, like the BJP immediately started playing ENPO card. And ENPO, that's the Eastern Nagaland areas, which comprise 20 seats. And BJP, Amit Shah promised them that their demand for a separate state will be looked into, and he even said it's a genuine demand. So they started playing this tribal division. Right. Congress also needs to play this kind of smart game. And again, we saw in Meghalaya how they attacked their own alliance partner, and this has been has become a kind of strategy. Even in Manipur, we had seen this NPP BJP were in coalition, and just before election they broke the coalition and started attacking each other. And this is actually dividing the anti-incumbency vote. And that could well be part of a well thought out strategy. It's not just they are making attacks out of nothing. Right. So that kind of smart move we don't see in the Congress. And then on vexed issues like Naga political issue, then in Tripura the division of states, in Meghalaya ILP issues, they are not spelling out their strategy clearly.
Absolutely. But now that brings me to the larger question, and which are the last two questions also for the program. And I'll come to Monideepa first. That Monideepa, let's not discuss too much about BJP, because everybody knows that it practices a kind of a guerrilla politics for which Congress is really not well equipped, and it doesn't seem to be equipped, with that smart politics mindset. So if you look at the larger picture, is it very clear now that 2024 will fall in favor of BJP? And even if Congress is talking about a grand alliance government, the alliance, whichever is formed, is really not ready with a roadmap or a strategy.
I agree with what you just said. I mean, the alliance, there doesn't seem to be a clear roadmap or strategy at all. Right. We don't even know if there will be an alliance of all the parties before the election, after the election, or what. But what is interesting, of course, is that, there is an attempt by the opposition parties to perform better at the other, elections that are due: Chhattisgarh, Karnataka, Rajasthan. These states, there is an opportunity perhaps for the Congress to perform much better than it has in the Northeast, and that could salvage the situation for the Congress, for the opposition unity ahead of 2024. Otherwise, it really looks like a very comfortable ride for the BJP up to next year's huge mega general elections.
Patricia, your last thoughts before I wind up the show? Yes.
No, I've been listening to the other panelists, and I must say that the Congress itself gave a death blow to the party in Meghalaya by not considering, the choices of the people here. People here have elected, or they have a preference for somebody to lead the party, to be the MPCC chief, and then suddenly that little box goes to Delhi, and then Delhi appoints somebody completely different, that is a person who's not acceptable to them. And I don't know if I'm being sacrilegious, but is Rahul Gandhi really able to rejuvenate the Congress? Because, see, is the Bharat Joro Yatra an NGO or a political party? Where is the political aggression that is needed at this point? Well, you're dealing with a very aggressive opposition in the BJP. You need an equal amount of fervor, and you need to be there to counter them at every step of the way, not by name calling, but by some realistic figures and realistic examples. No, we don't see that happening, and you can
Patricia,
see.
one question which I wanted to ask, the kind of issues which the opposition is picking up, say, for example, Adani Hindenburg, we do not know whether that issue is working on the ground. We are talking, the opposition is raising more about intellectual issues, about
Yes.
democratic rights, about freedom of expression, whether the institutions are working or not. Is the common man really bothered about these things? This
No, it's not bothered.
Discussion, common man, I think, is not interested then.
No,
Yes,
because
I
the
think
common man, because
Hmm.
poverty is growing. Let me tell you that in the Northeast, in Meghalaya, poverty is 32.7%. Poverty is growing. There is a huge urban-rural divide. So your Hindenburg and other issues are okay for the intellectuals to have their discussions. It doesn't make sense to rural Meghalaya, rural Nagaland. They
Absolutely.
want roads, they want development, and BJP is always talking development. And then people see when they visit Assam, they pass through Guwahati, they see some infrastructure coming up, and they expect that the same kind would also come there. And this is what the BJP keeps saying. Look at Assam, we brought this, we brought that. Look at Meghalaya, you don't have a single medical college. If you vote us, we will get 2 medical colleges. So these are the carrots that are dangled.
Absolutely. It's a huge challenge for the opposition and also for the kind of issues it is really going to pick up in the days to come. And as Monadeepa said, that the elections which will be held from here on, like Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Karnataka, Telangana, they're all going to be very, very crucial for Congress. And I hope they pull up their socks, start working. But till then, I think it's just BJP and BJP, no one anywhere near BJP. Thank you so much, Monadeepa. It was lovely to have you on the program. Patricia, wonderful to have you. Sushanta and Samir, thank you so much for joining.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more interesting updates.